Hey, my name is Chris Hughes. Chris Hughes. I'm from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I just like to say a couple things for me, couple things for y'all who don't know me. I'm originally from Conway, South Carolina. I graduated from Green Sea Florence High School in 2014. I went to various high schools, which was Green Sea, Hemingway, Darlington, and Loris High School, but I ended up at Green Sea Florence High School, which I graduated in 2014. I have a lot of friends. I like to shout out to Levi Moody, Cullen Starvey, Dalton Starvey, Marquis Weaver, Marquel Bellamy, Stacy Dozier, Junior Long, Holly Edwards, Mallory Suggs, and all the friends I went from Loris and Green Sea. I like to shout out. Reason I'm here today, this is a very short segment I'm doing today. Today is July 26, 2017. It's 5 o'clock. What I'd like to discuss today is one thing that everybody is having trouble with is CDV and abuse. This does not apply. This not only applies to wife. This also applies to kids. If y'all going through a rough time, don't matter if you're a teenager, young, adult, and you haven't told nobody your story, it's okay. Nobody from Green Sea Florence, Hemingway High School, Darlington High School, Loris High School, Loris Middle School, Hemingway Middle School, none of them people, not even my friends, know who I went through when I was young. I like to say that I was brought into foster care in 2006, October 4th, the day on my birthday. I turned just 11 years old. I was abused by my stepfather, sexually, emotionally, and physically abuse. Nobody knew that. I really wanted to tell everybody at Green Sea Florence High School on graduation day, but something happened. I really don't want to talk about that issue. Something happened. I couldn't be able to do that at graduation. I just like to say, if you're a teenager, no matter if you're a girl or boy, you're going through abuse right now, already happened, and nobody heard your story, it's not your fault. I thought it was my fault when I was young, but I was brought up in foster care. I had favorite DSS workers: Kevin Long, Stephanie Olsen, Scott Granger. I like to shout out to them, saying I'm doing okay. I also like to shout out to all my friends in Green Sea Florence High School and Loris High School. Also like to shout out to my brother who is currently in lower state of South Carolina, Will Reeves. I like to shout out to him. Also like to shout out to my foster parents: Joanne Smith, Diane Martin, Denmont, William Smith, and all the family that I did not call. I like to say that y'all did a good job of raising me. But things was hard for me throughout my life. I was given a lot of stuff, especially on Christmas. I never experienced Christmas until I was in foster care in 2006. Before that, I never knew what Christmas was. I never knew what sports was. Football, NFL, NBA, nothing until in 2006. Right now, as of 2017, I'm a big fan of sports, of all sports. NFL, MLB, NBA, soccer, everything. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, Boston Celtics, Boston Bruins, New York Red Bulls, Boston Red Sox, tennis players, Andy Murray. I like to shout out to the person who defeated Venus Williams. I watched that. My favorite female was Serena Williams. My favorite NASCAR driver who is retiring this year is Dale Earnhardt Jr. I like to say I feel sorry for the dad, what happened to him back in 2001 or 2. Also like to shout out to the victims in 2001, 9/11, what happened. Also like to shout out to all the victims at Sandy Hooks Elementary School, the Boston bombing, the Los Angeles airport bombing, the Batman shooting that happened in Colorado a couple years ago. I also like to shout out to Hurricane Katrina victims who are still going through a rough time. Also like to shout out to the victims of Hurricane Matthews in South Carolina, and Hurricane Sandy in New York and New Jersey. I like to shout out to them. I'm a very I never really had friends in high school or middle school except for about 10 friends. 10 friends. Junior Long, Levi Moody, Stacy Dozier, Marquis Weaver, Guy Canes, Joseph. Forgot his last name. I just like to shout out to them. Also like to shout out to all the people that who I've not mentioned in this video. I'd like to welcome them, saying that you're not alone. I went through the same thing. Also, one thing, also like Criminal Minds, Derek Morgan, which is AKA Sherman Moore. Sherman Moore. I don't know if this happened to you in real life, but I think I seen your story that you went through abuse. If it's true, I feel sorry for you. I went through the same thing. So is Matthew Greg Gambler from Criminal Minds. If you went through the same thing, I feel for you. And right before we sign off, I'd like to say to all the victims of abuse, CDV, child neglect, child abuse, you're not alone. We have to step up and say no, you cannot do that, it's wrong. You may be beaten just like bullies. If you're going through a rough time in high school, you got to step up to being bullied. I never was bullied in high school. Thank God for that. I'm a really good Christian. I've done a lot of things in the past I regret. I've given my life up to God. I'm trying to change. I like to say to all the people who's going through abuse right now in this minute, you're not alone. You got to speak out. Because if you don't speak out, nobody knows what you went through when you was young. I'm speaking out right now to live video. I'll also like to say that I love you, Mom. I have not seen you in 11 years. At the end of this year, it'll be 12 years. I'm finally coming to see you December 16th of this year. I just feel sorry for my dad, who's a drunk, and Conway, who really wasn't there for me. I just like to shout out to my cousin, who I call my sister, Emma Silver. Also like to shout out to my other family members, Mike Heuser, David Heuser, Catherine Heuser is my grandmother. I like to shout out to my homeboys who I met in jail in prison, Addison Peterman, who we call A or Ace, Ashton Lloyd, who I call Q or Full Circle. I like to shout out to Bailey Morris, who's currently still incarcerated. He will not leave in 2020. I also like to shout out to John Pope, who's been letting me stay here with him. I don't want to get into that. I also like to thank Lee Mayfield, who's a high school teacher at Green Sea Florence High School. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for helping me through all my troubles. I also like to thank Lee James, who I met at Loris Middle School. He was a math teacher. He went to Green Sea Florence High School as a principal. I like to say thank you for all the things you've done for me. I like to say thank you, Kevin Long, Scott Grange, for all the things you've done. I also say one more thing. Victims, you need to speak out. I know it's hard. It was hard for me for 6 years until I never told this to nobody until right now. You need to do the same. We need to stop this violence, CDV, child abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and any kind of abuse. We need to stop this right now before it goes any worse. Need to step up. My name is Christopher Heuser. I'm saying so long. I will see you back here same day next week. Saying so long. I love you. I love you, all my family. If people who I did not mention in, I'm sorry. I don't have enough time. I love y'all. Thank you for all the things I've done in my life, that failures and accomplishments. I also say one more thing. If you're not a believer in God, you need to step up and pray, because God will give you a life you never ever expected. He will do miracles you never thought it was impossible. But with God, nothing is impossible. You must pray. If you're not a Christian, you're not a religious person, take your time and kneel down and say, Jesus, I want you to enter my life. I know I've done wrong things. I'm a sinner. I believe and I have faith that you died on the cross to give us a second chance, Lord. And I want you in my heart and change my life. I repent for all the past sins, the current sins, and the future sins that I committed. If you say that and take your time and read the Bible every night, your life will change dramatically. I'm still trying to read the Bible every night. I love you, God. God bless America.